Welcome back to the Student Hub Live Freshers Reorientation event for the Faculty of Business and Law here at the Open University. Now, in this session, we're going to talk about staying well and studying well. It's an important relationship between the two. So to discuss this, I'm joined by Mychelle Pride, who's been doing a fabulous job on our hot desk.
Oh my God, the guests are so good today.
Yeah, I know.
They're not guests, the students.
Yeah. They are guests. They're very welcome. They are who we're putting this on for. The thing is, we think it's all about people up here. All that is happening. Yeah, absolutely. And Carol, you're a student experience manager, so you work with Mychelle and our student experience team. Very interested in the student experience. But today we're going to focus on staying well and studying well. So we've got lots of things here, and we've got some wordles that we'd like you to fill in for us if you would at home. We'd like to know what makes you feel happy. So there's 3 words here that we need you to fill in. If you can only think of 1 or 2, that's fine. Just put a full stop in that box so that your results will submit. How are you feeling about your upcoming studies? So this is a scale. So cool as a cucumber, or it's an 11. So we'd like to know where you feel on that particular scale. And also what's worrying you about your upcoming studies. And while we're talking here, HJ is going to do his best to answer all of your questions, but there's probably something we've missed because it's happening all so fast. So what should people do, HJ?
Well, one thing you can do is that pin button on the top right. It goes so fast. So if you want to press that pin button instead of it, just keep going down. You can scroll at your own pace. And because there's so many fantastic questions we've got in the chat that we may not be able to get to, if you email us, studenthub@open.ac.uk, or follow any of the links for the library, the student support teams, everyone's here at the OU to support you. And I've got my listening ears on. I know in this session there's lots of great questions that Mychelle and Carol want to ask us about our study and our well-being. So we're all ears and we're ready to go.
Okay, well, I was going to say, you know, what you're saying sounds really sensible, but I do feel that ears undermine your credibility somewhat. But okay, you can listen, HJ, that's cool. Right, Mychelle, what do we actually mean, like when we use this word well-being? It's so commonly used.
That's right. So we hear a lot about well-being, but if I backtrack for a second, everybody has well-being, and it is about all of us. Not everybody has a diagnosed mental health condition. So we have mental health issues and challenges, and we have well-being issues and challenges. Okay. So you might have a diagnosis, but you might have a treatment plan and be managing that very well, and it might not impact on your studies. You might not have a diagnosis, but you might have really poor well-being. So maybe you're not eating well, you're not sleeping well, you've got serious issues at home or family or work.
You're juggling those kids.
You're juggling those kids, although
which you shouldn't be.
Only use dolls, please. and therefore, everybody can have a really good well-being day or a really bad well-being day. And even within a day, it can just be one thing that triggers you to drop your well-being, and then everything spins out of control. So what we're going to talk about today is some things that you can do to help your own well-being, and maybe to be more aware of your own well-being and what you can do. Because if you have good well-being, it will help your studies.
And is there then support available for both those ends of that spectrum?
Absolutely. So the first and foremost, the second that you feel you have a problem, talk to someone. Talk to someone you're comfortable with. It might or might not be a family member, but at the OU we have the student support team. You can ring them for any reason. So it could be you're having a bad day, or it could be something around your mental health challenges that you're facing. We have a resource called the Big White Wall, and I think HJ has a list of resources that I've got, and so he can post that in the chat box for us. But we have the Big White Wall, we have the student support team, we have your tutors. Everybody here is able to help you and talk to you for any of these things.
Brilliant. So what can you do then to maintain this positive well-being? So say we're not talking about mental health conditions in the session, we're talking about the positive well-being. Yes. So what can you do to maintain that and even develop it in the first place if it's not so good?
And I hate to say it, these are things we probably all know, but we all struggle to do. Yeah. I am a perfect example of that. Eat well first and foremost. I love cake. So
I think you're not alone. But I'm fairly confident.
And I think to myself, ooh, I've got a TMA coming up. If I have a bit of cake, maybe I'll study better. And then I find myself dozing off. So actually, you need to maintain a healthy diet. And it's not always easy to do, but maintain a healthy diet and maybe reward after you've submitted your TMA rather than before. So first thing is eat well. And if you're not sure what that means, there are lots of resources for figuring out that, fruit and fiber are good things for you, and, fat and sugar are not so good for you, processed sugar. Also, sleep well. It's really important, and I think this is really important, to have a separate environment for sleeping and studying if you can. You want to be able to go somewhere and switch off. Now, people have said maybe put a little bit of lavender oil on your pillow at night. That doesn't work for me. In our house, we've removed all gadgets from the bedroom. It is a space for sleeping only. So have a place. Both my husband and I are studying at the minute, so we need that quiet space. Have a safe, quiet place you can go to just lie down, relax, have a rest. So you're eating well, you're sleeping well. And also be gentle with yourself. Don't beat yourself up. We all get frustrated, but frustration brings you nothing. It just makes things worse. So if there's any way when you get frustrated, you can just kind of flip it and say, okay, what can I be grateful for? You know, what is it that's going well at the moment? Because you might think, God, everything's dreadful, but there's always something that you can be grateful for. It might sound a bit corny, but I am genuinely grateful to be alive every day. You know, every day that I'm above ground is a good day. Yeah? So be grateful and be gentle with yourself. And then finally, I would say, have a hobby. Have something that is fun, that keeps you active. I mean, it could be something like walking the dog. It could be something like going to the park. It could be, we've got, you know, here in Milton Keynes, we have the pedalos out in the lake. Do something that's a little bit different, changes your mind. Can I talk about my hobby for a second?
Go on then.
Okay, I've got to do this.
Oh, you haven't been wearing those all day, have you, Mychelle?
You better believe it. I've been walking around in my ice skates all day.
Do they make you happy?
You know, they've got sparkles on them.
They
Like
are very
just the
pretty.
sparkles. There's sparkles on the back. For me, I ice skate every morning before work. I'm absolutely addicted. Find something that works for you, something that makes you happy. I started 18 months ago. I could not let go of the barrier. Okay. But there's no Wi-Fi in the rink. There's no mobile phone signal in the rink. When I get there, I have to switch off from everything around me.
You're so in the moment.
Well, if you don't pay attention, you fall over. So, you know, find a hobby. It doesn't have to be that dramatic. I know Carol's got some hobbies.
To show off my feet.
Oh, is this a shoe thing? I feel really left out.
I do Zumba. I try to do it 3 times a week. I'm absolutely useless at it. I don't know left from right.
Me neither.
But it requires such a degree of concentration that everything else goes totally and utterly out of my mind. And for that hour, I am just in the moment. I'm in the music. And it links in with what Mychelle was saying about getting a bit of exercise as well. So I'm getting that bit of exercise, but I'm also mixing with people as well. I made loads of new friends from having joined those classes.
Brilliant. Now, I thought you were going to talk about that.
Well, that's the other thing.
Looks very neat.
My other hobby is needlework, and I think there is a clear indication that needlework is very similar to starting an OU course, because if you see the big picture, you're just going to look at it and think, I can't do that. But if you look at the little bits, so for example, working the bicycle or working the basket or the flowers, they become little bits that count the whole. And that's just like doing your Open University course. The TMA counts towards the module. The module counts towards the overall course, and it's that building up of things along the way till you get to that end product, which is graduation if it's an OU course.
Brilliant. Now, I'd like, for people who haven't filled out Wordle about how are you feeling right now about your up-and-coming studies, I'd like you to fill in this scale, because we're going to look at that, and also tell us what makes you happy also, and also what are your up-and-coming worries about the studies. So we're going to take a look and see how people are feeling about their up-and-coming studies. Just getting that ready for you now. Right, so very much in the middle here. What are your reactions to that then?
I've got a few people out on it's an 11. Which is but
I bet everyone's counting that as well, 'cause that's what I'd do.
But I bet if we had asked that 2 hours ago,
Yeah.
I think we'd have most people at it's an 11.
Yeah.
And I think this just goes to show that being in a community
Yeah.
makes such a difference and really helps your well-being.
Yeah.
Like Carol said, getting friends from Zumba, my friends are from the ice skating. Make friends with your fellow students, people making friends in the chat room tonight.
Yeah.
Get connected, stay connected. We've got the OU forums for that. We've got USA for that. In your module, we've got forums that you can talk to other students. But really make that network. And I know Steph, who was just here, she was telling me that she met students on her first module. And even though they've gone down different pathways, 2 years, 3 years later, they're still really good friends. And some of them actually do have the opportunity to meet up through tutorials and through other events like that. So stay connected, get connected. You will feel better. Even if you think, okay, my room's the only place I want to be, that's fine too. But get connected virtually to other students. They'll help you.
Brilliant. Now, I'd like to see what everyone else's hobbies are, because you two have some pretty fantastic ones. But let's see what people at home are up to, HJ.
We've got brilliant hobbies in the chat. Elizabeth loves horse riding. Gavin likes photography. Jessica likes Finnish grammar. Juliet likes baking. I hope she'll share some with me. Daniel likes playing the guitar. Student Hub band. Let's go for it. Sarah likes reading anything involving glitter and crafts and rocks as a geology graduate. Simon, this is amazing. I go to Comic Cons in my own stormtrooper armour. That's amazing. Lynn's a big fan of bell ringing, mountain biking, reading, sewing, gardening, playing the flute, and she's working to a grade 5 theory of the flute as well, so good luck with that. And likes painting and photography. Kenneth's a big fan of rugby, so he must be really excited with the World Cup at the moment. Alberto likes photography, bonsai training and cooking. Marie's a big fan of cross-stitch and origami. Leslie and Katie are big fans of manga. If you've got any suggestions for me, put it in the chat. And Hayley does say, I enjoy my daughter going to bed and eventually sitting in silence. Is this a hobby?
Yes.
Yeah, I'd say so.
And that's a really good point for well-being, is that we need to make our own space for ourselves, because so often we get caught up in our families, we get caught up in everybody else, and you actually do need downtime. Part of being well is having that opportunity, even if it's 2 or 3 minutes. You can just sneak somewhere. Maybe you get back, you're by yourself in the car, just sit there for an extra 2 or 3 minutes before you go in. Give yourself those pause moments.
And I really feel for Hayley, because I know when I was studying with a very young child, I'd often think, I can start studying now, please go to bed, please go to bed. And then by the time she actually went to bed, I was exhausted. And it was really hard, because that was my me time. So I started getting up earlier and just going to bed and sort of sleeping, and then trying to get the time in the morning, which sort of made it a bit better. But it can be hard.
It can absolutely be really hard.
So you mentioned you were studying as well.
Yes.
What are your tips then for studying well?
Planning, because we talked about being physically well and being physically active, but you have to be mentally well as well. And for me, I get quite anxious if I don't plan. So I really do take that study planner, look at when they're due, plan early, and also I think it's just letting everyone around me know, you know, this is a really important time for me, and it's really important that I get help and support when I need to. And so I've got this lovely little thing here. This is my tea bell. So I recommend that everybody who can to get one of these. And oh look, here comes the tea. So at home.
Oh, you lined that up. You lined that up. But that doesn't really work. Well, does it work? Does it work? Does it work?
Well, my husband is amazing. So if I am studying, particularly if there's something particularly pressing and urgent and I'm not feeling well, I just say to him, look, can you please, when I ding this, can you please come and help? And he does.
Wow, mine wouldn't put up with that. Absolutely no way.
It's give and take. You know, you have, you know, you get your family members and they support you, but you also support them back. So I think you know, the top tip for studying is planning. And also the second you feel like you're getting into trouble, talk to someone. Don't wait. Don't let the problem get really big. Solve any problems you can as soon as you can at the lowest level possible. Talk to your tutor. The tutors want you to pass. Sometimes people forget that. They get so caught up in, I'm not going to pass, or I'm worried I'm going to pass, or I'm worried that I'm too stupid to actually get through this. Other people are feeling the same way. Talk to your tutor. Your tutors can help you. Talk to the student support team. They can help you. There's always a solution. And I think remember that. There's always a solution.
Well, let's see what people at home are worried about, because we had a word cloud about this, where we said, what are you most worried about in your studies? So let's see what people had to say. Failing is a big thing here, but time management is the central idea here. So that's the word that keeps popping up as time. But there's also things like falling behind, being overwhelmed, assignments, being worried, not completing, money, results, not doing my best, lack of sunshine. Oh yeah, tell me about it. That's really hard going. Word counts, stress, health, scope, time limits, night shifts, commitments, lack of time, assignments, family commitments, a lot to take in, having enough time, doing my best, manage my time, referencing work-life balance, planning, results, workload, miscommunication, poor at maths, using the library. I mean, there's some things here that the OU offer real tangible advice and support for, like using the online library. We've got stuff at Student Hub Live, sessions on time management that you could book into, and academic writing. So there are lots of things that people can do, but these are very common anxieties and worries. So, you know, what are your tips then for dealing with some of those things? Some related to technology, I think, as well. Often people are thinking, I haven't studied for ages. How am I going to work the computer?
Oh, computers and technology can be very, very scary.
Although these people are managing it just fine.
But it can be very, very scary. And I think the first thing to remember is that you can't actually break the OU system. So you're not going to break it. So if you try something, it's not all going to crash and everything's going to go and that's going to be the OU finished. It's not going to happen.
No.
I love it.
And most problems you can get round.
Well, not the zombies. They, I think, were just going to happen on the list. I saw that sneak in there.
But make sure that you ask people. If you can't, you know, when I have an IT problem, I'd really, really love to just run away from the computer, hide somewhere and hope it'll go away. The reality is it doesn't go away, and when I go back, it's still there. So I ask people, ask your tutor. Not saying that your tutor's going to be an IT expert, but it may be a problem they've come across. Post or ask other students, because again, that may have happened to another student yesterday and they know exactly what to do with it. But my biggest tip would be ask the IT help desk. They are fantastic. And if you go to them, they will help you sort your problem. And they are absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, no, they're really, really helpful. So the OU Computing Help Desk, another source of advice. So downloading software or accessing things. Office 365 we were talking about before, which everyone really, really loved. So, you know, they offer support in a variety of different ways. I want to know what happens if you press the tea bell again when you're ready to have tea.
It's such a magic bell. I love it. Oh, tell you.
Oh, cake!
You gotta love the cake.
Oh, you do. But have you done your TMA, Mychelle?
Oh, dang.
See.
Karen, if I can just come back to a point you made, the library is amazing, and the resources that the library has amazing. 24 hours a day, you can get help from someone at the end of the library computing resource, the library resources. So I would encourage all students to look at the library, explore the library. The research shows that the students who do spend time using library resources have better marks. So absolutely get in there and use the library. And then the research also shows that the students who attend tutorials do better as well. And we had a business student who at 50 went back to, basically on a dare and someone telling her she wasn't very bright, decided to do her degree. And I just went to graduation a couple of weeks ago with her. She won the award for the best student. She completed her degree in 3 years, even being told all of her life that she was too stupid to study. So she did her degree. She had the highest marks of everyone. I said, what's your top tip? She said, I went to every single tutorial. I took advantage of all of the resources. And when I needed help, I asked for help.
Brilliant. Oh, that's amazing. Well, I can't believe there's an award for a best student. I think everyone's a best student.
She got about £1,000 as well on the award for that.
Wow.
So so there's extrinsic, you know, outside rewards, but actually do it for yourself.
Brilliant. No, absolutely. Good advice there. Now, Mychelle, I must ask as well about this other thing. Is he related to the tea bell? And what's...
Well, they both came from my husband, so they're related in that way. So he does take care of me.
Does he have cake inside him?
Oh, he's probably eaten a lot of cake. But this is a worry monster, and you can find worry monsters online, but they're designed for children and absolutely brilliant. Has a zip. Inside, the child puts their worry in, and they're supposed to sleep with it, and then in the morning, the worry's gone, so the parents will have taken it out. But I actually think they're great for studying as well. And so I've asked some of my students to say what their worries are.
Okay, yeah.
So let's have a grab of this one. oh, after listening to some of the induction, I think I have enrolled on too many modules. What do I do? So help. And I'm not sleeping because I'm worried about this.
Yeah.
So call the student support team.
Yeah.
That would be my solution there. Talk to them. You might not have been enrolled on too many, but you might have.
Yeah.
So each case is different. Each student can manage differently. We say about 17 hours a week for 60 credits. So if you're looking at 90 credits, you're looking at 25 odd hours, up to 34 if you're studying 120. Do you really have that time set aside? So we talked about time being one of the biggest concerns. Managing your time is really important. Make a plan, make a physical plan. When are you going to fit your studying in? Do you actually have those 17 hours? Do you actually have those 25 hours?
And that doesn't just look like a day being 17 hours with a bit of sleep, because
No.
that's focused time.
And if you lie about it, you're only hurting yourself.
Yeah.
You have to be really honest with your time plan and say, okay, when am I actually going to fit this in? Do we have
Okay.
time for one more?
You
or no?
do, yeah.
Okay. I am worried I won't have enough time to finish my next assignment. There you go. Planning. That's another planning one, another time management one. I don't necessarily know what these say, so here we go. Will I be able to cope with the workload? Another workload question. So it seems like we've got quite a few students here who are saying time management. There are some break weeks in your modules, and my advice would be you need a break, you need a refresher, but actually take advantage of those break weeks and study in them when you can. Start as soon as you can, try and stay on top of it. You can submit your TMAs early. If you think you're going to be late, talk to your tutor, talk to the student support team. It's possible for some assignments to get an extension, so not all, but it is possible for some. I'm worried that I will neglect my family and not be a good mum due to my study workload. And I think that's a really interesting point. Some of the suggestions there is study when your kids are doing their homework, so sit next to them, be a role model for your kids.
That way you don't have to do it for them as well, which is brilliant.
there is that element to it. I think, and also just be aware that there are going to be times when you have to give and there are times when you have to take. And so it may well be that this week Mummy doesn't have time for you, but next week we'll go and do something special. And I think that's where Patrice's date night jar came in handy, that when she did have time, they could draw a lollipop stick. So maybe with the kids, get these lollipop. Can I take this down? Yeah. So with the kids, get the lollipop sticks. I know, it's brilliant. Just lollipop sticks like this. She's coloured them all. Get the kids to write on there what would be fun to do with Mum when she's not studying. And then when you do have time, you can just they can choose one. They can pull one out, make it a bit of fun, and then go and do studies. So there are lots of things you can do, but just be realistic about the expectations and talk to your family.
Now, you've mentioned motivation and that cake can be a motivating thing. So I'd like to finish by thinking about motivation and what motivates both of you two.
Oh, that's a difficult question. I'm not quite sure.
For me,
I think it's the little and the big, if that makes sense. I can see the big picture and I want the big picture, but it's working slowly and taking the little bits along the way to get there.
Yeah, that's
great advice.
And I think that's really important with an OU course. If you think about the whole degree, you're probably going to end up quite panicked. But if you think about the stages, then you're going to get there. And you're going to have that day when you walk across the platform at graduation and your family are going to be there and your children are going to be so proud of you and everybody's going to be applauding and sort of screaming for you, basically.
Celebrate the small victories. So really anxious when I submit a TMA, convinced that I've got it wrong, really anxious when the email comes in that says your results are ready for you to look, and then be excited regardless of what the outcome is, because if you get out what you've put in, be pleased no matter what the mark is. Be pleased with what you're doing. Be proud of yourself. Be gentle with yourself. But for me, the motivation is closing my eyes and seeing myself walking across the stage, black cap and gown.
I would just add there as well about your feedback. We tend to focus on the negative in our feedback, yet there's loads of positive in there, and there will be loads of positives in there for you. So look for the positives, write down those positives and take those positives away with you.
And keep going back to your feedback. I think that's one of the hardest things, that when you go back to being a student, is you will be criticised. But I actually think if the tutor's not helping you get better, the tutor's not doing their job. If they just say good, good, good all the way through, then How does
it's
it help
part
you?
of academic life, you know.
is.
It continues, unfortunately, forever and ever. The more you write, the more constructive feedback you get, peer review. It's all about developing things, but actually that really, really helps to make you better.
Yes.
And it's great to have a different perspective on things, and I think it can be hard getting over that idea in the first place, but it is something that continues to happen in these contexts. Mychelle and Carol, thank you so much. That's been absolutely brilliant. I'd like to ask everyone at home what they might do differently for their well-being that they haven't previously done. So any ideas that we've sparked there, I'd love to hear about them. HJ, you've got the very difficult challenge now of summing up and saying any final last words, because we're going to have to go.
We've had so much amazing chat, and as always, it's hard to get on top of it all. One thing I would say, as always, there's been loads of fantastic questions. So if there's something we've missed, get in touch with us, studenthub@open.ac.uk, or definitely speak to your tutor or student support team. They love to hear from you and help you succeed in your studies. We talked about everyone's fantastic hobbies. I posted in the chat a link to all the different OU clubs, so you can find students like you who are interested in all those different things and get social with your study and enjoy your time studying as well. There's loads of resources we've discussed as well. So on the event page, a lot of people have asked about this. We've got a list of all the resources we've talked about. So check that out as well. A lot of people have been wondering what happens with the red phone. So apparently we're going to find out at the next Student Hub Live. So if you want to find out what happens with the red phone, definitely join us next time. But for now, it's been fantastic chatting to everyone, and do stay in touch.
I've ordered a pizza on the red phone once. It's really, you think your bowel's hot, Mychelle, my red phone. Although once they told me off about parking my car, so that wasn't so good. Brilliant. All right, well, thank you, everybody. Thank you all so much at home. It's been a really, really buzzing, busy session. I hope you've enjoyed meeting some of the team here at the Open University, and I more importantly hope that you've enjoyed meeting other students. It's really fun to be part of the OU community, and there are heaps of ways that you can stay connected with other students also. But if you like this event, join our Student Hub Live mailing list so that you can find out about other events that we've got coming up. You just go to the Student Hub Live website and sign up. And you can also subscribe to our YouTube channel also. And in addition to some of the videos I've been talking about, there's plenty on wellbeing. And I must plug one that I particularly liked with the School of Sport and Fitness, where we spoke about training like a world-class athlete, studying like a world-class athlete. And they showed me all of the foods and all the glycemic indexes and all this fab stuff so that we could know what we were supposed to eat when we were studying to really boost our brain power. So there's a lot on that YouTube channel that you can go and search through. But for now, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you can join us again very soon and have a brilliant rest of the evening and, more importantly, a wonderful year ahead. See you soon.